Welcome back to Investing Talk Podcast.
Hey there. So today we're really digging into a big one, Alibaba Group Holding. The main question we keep hearing and what we're tackling today is pretty straightforward. Is Alibaba actually a good buy right now? As we sit here in late September 2025.
Right, that's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? And a big thank you to the listener who asked us to look into this one.
Definitely appreciate the suggestion.
And for everyone listening, please do hit subscribe, like the show, leave a comment. Seriously, if there's a company you want us to analyze next, just tell us in the comments. We really do use those.
We do. So to figure this out for Alibaba, we've looked at recent filings, market reports, and we're breaking it down. We'll cover the basics, financial health, growth.
The fundamentals first.
Exactly. Then we'll look at the technicals where the stocks actually trade.
What the charts are saying.
Yep. Then catalysts, what might move it soon. And finally, got to talk about the risks. Geopolitics, regulation, you know the drill.
Okay, let's start with that foundation then. The financials. We have to look at the latest numbers. Q2 FY 2025 ending June 30th. Top line revenue was, RMB 222.7 billion. About $30 billion US.
That's right, a 9% increase year over year.
Which sounds solid, maybe not earth-shattering. Driven by cloud, international, local services.
Correct. But look, the real story, I think, is below that top line. It's the profit. That's where things get much more interesting.
Okay.
Net income didn't just tick up, it surged. We're talking 32% year over year, hitting $6.06 billion.
Wow, 32%. That's quite a jump for a company this size.
It is. And what's really notable is that this kind of profit growth, it's actually outpacing a lot of their competitors in the region, many of whom are kind of struggling with margins right now.
So how do they manage that? 32% isn't just finding loose change. You mentioned restructuring before. Was it just cost cutting or something more fundamental?
I'd say it's definitely more structural. It points to really disciplined cost control, sure, but also smart decisions, focusing efforts, getting out of some lower margin stuff.
Right.
They've been optimizing, particularly in logistics and retail, and that's allowed the higher margin businesses, especially cloud, to really start contributing properly to the bottom line.
Okay.
And you see that reflected in the adjusted EBITDA number 2, up 19%. That shows the operational leverage is, well, it's really starting to kick in.
That makes sense. So the income statement looks strong. Better operating leverage, but what about resilience? If, say, regulatory pressures flare up again, how's the balance sheet look? Does it back up this efficiency push?
Absolutely. And this is, I think, a core part of the bull case. The balance sheet is, well, analysts basically call it a fortress.
A fortress.
Yeah. As of June 30th, they were sitting on a huge net cash position, RMB 362 billion, which is about 49.2 billion US dollars. Net cash.
$49 billion in net cash.
Right.
What's the debt picture?
Relatively low, around $24.6 billion total debt. So you do the math.
So much more cash than debt.
Exactly. It gives them an incredibly conservative net debt to EBITDA ratio below 0.7x.
Which means what, practically speaking, for an investor worried about risk?
It means they have immense flexibility. Even if geopolitical issues pop up where there are fines, from a liquidity standpoint, they're incredibly secure. They have tons of dry powder for, acquisitions, investing more in AI, or just returning more cash to shareholders.
And speaking of returns, they are actively buying back shares, right?
Correct. That massive cash position is fueled by strong cash generation. Over the last 12 months, free cash flow was over $16.3 billion.
16 billion FCF.
Yep, and that's what's powering the current $12 billion share buyback program. Plus, their current ratio, a measure of short-term liquidity, is healthy, over 1.70x. So yeah, they're deploying capital, not scrambling for it.
Okay, financials look very strong, fortress balance sheet, surging profits. But what about the competition? They still dominate Chinese e-commerce, over 50% share, #1 in cloud in Asia-Pacific. But rivals like Pinduoduo are known for aggressive pricing. How do they defend their turf?
It's really the ecosystem, I think. It creates stickiness. It's not just having a shop online. It's the whole integrated package. Their logistics network, Cainiao, the cloud services offering speed and reliability, it makes it harder for big merchants to just switch.
Right, the switching costs.
Exactly. And they're also trying to deepen that moat technologically, developing their own custom AI chips, for instance, that reduces reliance on, say, NVIDIA.
Strategic control.
Precisely. Long-term margin protection, operational independence, pretty critical in the current global climate, wouldn't you say?
Definitely makes sense. Okay, so the fundamentals seem rock solid. But we know with Alibaba, sometimes the fundamentals are great, but the stock doesn't move. What are the technicals, the charts, telling us right now?
Well, it seems like the market is finally starting to catch on to this improved story. As of mid-September, the stock's at $157.65. That's right near its 2025 high of $158.40.
Okay, near the highs. Is it showing strength, though? Or just drifting up?
Real technical resilience, actually. What's important is how far it is above the key long-term moving averages.
Can you explain that a bit? For listeners maybe not glued to charts daily.
Sure, it's comfortably above all the main daily averages. The big one, the 200-day moving average, which often reflects longer-term institutional confidence, is way down at $115.
$115, so it's trading almost $40 above that.
Exactly. That kind of separation suggests the long-term uptrend isn't just tentative, it's robust, it's well-supported.
So for someone thinking about getting in or adding, what are the key levels to watch on the chart? Where's the playing field right now?
See, it's actually pretty well defined. Over the last 3 months, we've seen a clear bullish range. Think roughly $129 on the low side, maybe $175 on the high side. The immediate hurdle, the resistance that needs to break decisively to really accelerate higher, is $170.30. If it clears that convincingly.
Momentum kicks in.
Yeah, you'd likely see a quick move towards $175 as momentum traders jump aboard. On the downside, the really critical support level everyone's watching is $122. As long as it stays above $122, that long-term uptrend looks secure.
And the momentum indicators, do they back this up, like the RSI?
Good question. The 14-day RSI Relative Strength Index is hovering around 74.
Isn't 70 usually considered overbought?
It often is, yeah. But in a strong established rally like this one, especially for a growth name, 74 just confirms strong upward momentum. It doesn't necessarily scream imminent crash. It shows conviction.
Okay.
And another indicator, the ADX, which measures the trend strength, is at 32. That's high enough to confirm this isn't just a minor bounce. It's a pretty powerful, established move upwards. It reinforces the fundamental story we just talked about.
And market sentiment. Seems like people are eager to buy.
Seems that way. You see some reports, like from CFD platforms, showing a very high client buy-side skew, like almost 89%.
Right.
Now, we take specific platform data with a grain of salt,
Sure.
but the overall picture suggests strong buying interest, strong accumulation is happening right now, which makes sense given the price is near those highs.
Okay, let's shift focus then. Forward-looking. The company's doing well now, but what could push the stock higher? What are the potential catalysts analysts are excited about?
Well, we've had some positive news recently that definitely helped the stock surge. A big one was that $3.2 billion convertible bond they issued back in August.
Right.
And the key thing wasn't just raising money, it was where they said it's going. 80% is specifically earmarked for cloud and AI investment.
Very clear signal.
Exactly. Tells the market loud and clear.
Yeah.
They're doubling down on the high-tech, high-margin, future-focused parts of the business.
And then there was the whole renewed optimism around Jack Ma's involvement. Right. Even if it's informal.
It's funny how much weight his perceived involvement still carries, isn't it?
It really is.
After all the regulatory drama and his time out of the spotlight, any sign that he's engaged strategically seems to boost confidence in the long-term vision, even if the immediate tangible impact is, hard to quantify.
Yeah, that sentiment definitely seems reflected in what analysts are saying. The conviction level looks really high.
Overwhelmingly so. You look at consensus ratings, it's basically strong buy across the board. Something like 19 out of 22 analysts covering it rate it a buy or strong buy.
And their price targets, where do they see it going?
They're pretty ambitious. The average targets seem to cluster somewhere between, say, $167 and $179, suggesting decent near-term upsides still.
Okay, double digits potentially.
Yeah, and you see some outliers pushing targets up towards $195. So Wall Street clearly thinks there's more room for this stock to run as those efficiencies really flow through.
So drilling down into the next, say, 3 to 6 months, what are the specific dates or events that could really move the stock?
2 big scheduled ones come to mind. First, Singles Day. November 11th. That's always a massive event.
A huge shopping holiday, right?
Yeah, exactly. The sales numbers from that are seen as a key indicator of Chinese consumer health and, importantly, Alibaba's competitive muscle against rivals.
Okay, so Singles Day results. What's the second one?
Their next earnings report. Q3 FY 2025, expected around December 15th. What people will be watching for there is continued margin improvement, especially in cloud, and also, crucially, how effectively they're executing that big $12 billion share buyback. Are they actually deploying it efficiently?
That makes sense. And beyond those fixed dates, there's always the background noise, the rumors.
Right.
Particularly about potential spinoffs.
That chatter just doesn't seem to go away, does it? And it remains a powerful potential catalyst. The rumors keep swirling about possibly divesting or doing IPOs for some of the subsidiary businesses like the Kainao Logistics arm or the Freshippo grocery chain.
Right.
If they actually pull something like that off successfully, it could unlock significant value for shareholders, basically getting those businesses valued on their own rather than potentially being discounted within the larger Alibaba structure.
Okay, we've covered a lot of positives. Strong financials, good technicals, clear catalysts. But we need balance. Before we wrap up, let's talk risks. What should investors absolutely keep in mind?
You simply can't ignore the inherent risks here. Top of the list is always geopolitical exposure, the whole US-China dynamic.
Delisting fears, FX volatility.
Exactly. That risk hasn't vanished, even if it's maybe cooled off slightly recently. And domestically in China, there's always the potential for renewed regulatory crackdowns or shifts in policy. Management seems focused on navigating this better now, with cost discipline and strategic choices, but that government oversight risk, it's always there.
That's a key point. And on the tech side, you mentioned them investing heavily in their own chips to rely less on NVIDIA. How sure are we their custom chips can actually keep up with the cutting edge needed for AI cloud services? Isn't that a big tech gamble?
It absolutely is a gamble. A calculated one, maybe a necessary one for long-term strategic control, but still a gamble. The short-term risk, yeah, potentially falling behind on performance compared to market leaders. But the long-term prize, if they succeed, is controlling their entire tech stack, optimizing hardware precisely for their huge ecosystem. Their heavy R&D spending suggests they believe the payoff is worth that risk, especially in, well, a politically complex world.
Okay, so putting it all together, the $49 billion net cash, that 32% profit surge, the supportive charts, the focus on AI and cloud. What's the final takeaway? What's the investment thesis look like today?
Based on the analysis we've looked at, the overall thesis is strongly bullish right now. It really stands on three legs. First, that incredible financial strength from the cash pile. Second, the proven earnings momentum driven by those structural efficiencies kicking in. And third, the long-term growth story tied to AI, cloud adoption across Asia.
And the technicals and sentiment support that.
Yeah, the technical picture looks strong, market sentiment seems positive. It all lines up with that fundamental narrative currently.
So who should be looking at this stock right now? Is it more for a quick trade or is it a long-term hold?
You know, it's interesting because the analysis suggests it could actually appeal to both right now, which is kind of rare.
Let's so.
Well, for shorter-term traders, you have these clear, defined catalysts coming up. Singles day numbers, the Q3 earnings, maybe news on the buyback, things that could move the stock relatively quickly.
Okay.
But at the same time, for long-term investors, it represents a chance to own a dominant player in huge secular growth trends, digitalization, cloud computing, international e-commerce expansion. And the current valuation, given that earnings acceleration, looks potentially attractive for that longer horizon too.
All right. So maybe one final thought for our listeners to chew on. Alibaba is making this big $3.2 billion bet specifically on AI and cloud growth. How fast do those investments need to translate into real, measurable international revenue growth before those ever-present macro and geopolitical risks potentially catch up and maybe overshadow that strategic push? Something to think about. Thank you for joining us for this analysis. And please remember, this content is purely for research and educational purposes. It is definitely not investment advice. All the financial data and market information we discussed was based on what was available as of late September 2025. We'll definitely keep tracking how this story unfolds. Thanks for listening.